There are moments in life when pain becomes so heavy that even breathing feels like a burden. Moments when the silence around you seems louder than any noise, and you begin to wonder if anyone truly sees what you are going through. But what if, in those very moments, something powerful was happening that you could not see? What if your quiet gratitude during the hardest days of your life carried more weight than you ever imagined? Think about that for a moment. Many people believe that strength only appears when everything is going well. They assume gratitude is easy, when life is comfortable, when doors are open, when the path ahead is clear. But the real test of a person's heart appears in the storm, not in the sunshine. When everything feels uncertain, when people misunderstand you, when progress seems slow or invisible, what do you choose to hold on to? Some people respond with bitterness. Some respond with anger. And honestly, that reaction is understandable. Pain has a way of pushing people to their limits. But there are rare individuals who do something different. Even when life hurts, they choose to remain grateful for what still exists. They appreciate the small moments of peace. They recognize the lessons hidden inside their struggles. They refuse to let hardship turn their hearts cold. Have you ever wondered why some people carry a quiet strength that others cannot explain? It is often because of this very choice. Gratitude in comfort is common. Gratitude in pain is powerful. When someone continues to show appreciation for life despite difficulty, it reflects a deep level of resilience. It means they are not defined by temporary circumstances. They are anchored by something deeper than what the world can see. Imagine the unseen ripple effect of that mindset. Every moment you resisted bitterness, every time you chose patience instead of resentment, every time you said thank you for the small things when life felt unfair, you were shaping your character in ways that many people never do. And character built in difficulty carries a different kind of strength. It sharpens awareness. It deepens empathy. It builds emotional endurance. Think about your own journey for a second. How many times did you face situations that felt completely undeserved? How many nights did you sit quietly with your thoughts, trying to make sense of things that did not seem fair? How many times did you feel like your efforts were unseen? Yet somehow you kept moving forward, maybe slowly, maybe with doubts. But you did not completely give up. That matters more than you realize. Because gratitude during struggle is not weakness. It is not denial of pain. It is a form of inner discipline. It is the decision to keep your perspective balanced, even when life tries to pull you into negativity. And that kind of discipline changes a person. It transforms how you see challenges. It transforms how you respond to setbacks. It builds a mindset that refuses to collapse under pressure. Many people talk about breakthroughs as if they appear suddenly, like a dramatic moment where everything changes overnight. But often, the real transformation begins long before anyone notices. It begins in quiet decisions. The decision to stay hopeful when disappointment appears. The decision to stay humble when pride could easily take over. The decision to remain grateful even when life feels painfully unfair. Those decisions may seem small in the moment, but over time they build a powerful foundation. And here is the deeper question. What if your hardest seasons were not meaningless obstacles, but moments that were shaping the strength required for the next stage of your life? What if the gratitude you practiced in silence was not wasted energy, but preparation for something greater? When a person learns to remain balanced in hardship, they become capable of handling opportunities that would overwhelm others. And perhaps that is why some breakthroughs arrive only after a person has endured certain lessons, not as punishment, but as preparation. There is something deeply transformative about the way people grow through hardship. When life strips away comfort and certainty, it forces a person to look inward. It asks questions that comfort never asks. It challenges the foundation of who you are and what you truly value. And during those moments, something important begins to reveal itself. Some people allow pain to convince them that the world is against them. They close their hearts, build emotional walls, and carry resentment like armor. Over time, that bitterness becomes heavy. It drains energy, clouds judgment, and slowly disconnects them from the peace they once had. But others take a different path. Even while facing confusion, disappointment, or delay, they choose awareness instead of resentment. They start asking deeper questions. What can I learn from this? What strength is being built inside me right now? How can I grow through this rather than be defined by it? That mindset is rare. It requires patience when patience feels exhausting. It requires humility when pride wants to take control. And most importantly, it requires gratitude when circumstances seem undeserving of it. But gratitude during difficulty does something remarkable to the human mind. It shifts focus. Instead of seeing only what is missing, you begin to recognize what still remains. Instead of feeling trapped by the present moment, you begin to see possibilities for the future. It doesn't erase pain, but it changes the way pain shapes you. Think about people who carry a calm presence, even after facing serious challenges. When they speak, there is depth in their words. When they listen, there is sincerity in their attention. Their perspective feels grounded. That type of maturity rarely comes from an easy life. It comes from lessons learned in silence. It comes from nights of reflection, from moments when a person could have chosen bitterness, but instead chose awareness. It comes from learning that growth often hides inside discomfort. And that is where many people miss the bigger picture. They believe progress only exists when things are visibly improving. When opportunities appear, when success becomes obvious, when recognition arrives. But the most important progress often happens internally, long before anything external changes. Your patience becomes stronger. Your perspective becomes clearer. Your emotional strength becomes deeper. These changes may not be visible to others right away, but they are preparing you for situations that require wisdom rather than impulse. They are preparing you for opportunities that require stability rather than excitement. Ask yourself something honestly. If everything you hoped for suddenly appeared today, would you be fully prepared to handle it? Many people believe they would, but reality often proves otherwise. Sudden success without inner preparation can create pressure that people are not ready for. It can expose weaknesses in character, discipline, or perspective. That is why personal growth often happens before visible progress. The difficult seasons slow you down enough to reflect. They create space for you to examine your reactions, your habits, and your mindset. They refine the way you approach challenges and opportunities alike. And perhaps the most powerful part of that process is the quiet gratitude that continues to exist in the background. Gratitude during struggle sends a message to your own mind that you are not defeated by temporary circumstances. It reinforces resilience. It builds emotional balance. It keeps your focus steady while many others lose direction. Over time, that mindset becomes a form of strength that cannot easily be shaken. When challenges appear again, you are less overwhelmed. When delays happen, you remain patient. When unexpected changes occur, you adapt rather than collapse. And this raises another important thought. What if the strength you built during your hardest moments is exactly what will allow you to recognize the right opportunities when they finally appear? Because sometimes the real breakthrough is not just the opportunity itself. Sometimes the breakthrough is the person you became while waiting for it. There is a quiet moment that comes in every difficult journey, a moment when you realize that the struggle has changed you. Not in a way that made you weaker, but in a way that made you more aware, more patient, more thoughtful about the way you move through life. At first, hardship often feels like something that only takes from you. It takes your comfort, your certainty, sometimes even your confidence. You begin to question things that once felt stable. You ask yourself why certain doors closed, why certain people disappeared, why certain plans never unfolded the way you expected. Those questions can feel heavy, but over time, something surprising begins to happen. You start noticing that the same challenges that once felt overwhelming are no longer affecting you the same way. Situations that used to create stress now feel manageable. Conversations that once triggered frustration now feel easier to navigate. The problems did not completely disappear, but your ability to face them became stronger. That change is not accidental. It is the result of every moment you endured without giving up. Every time you chose reflection instead of reaction. Every moment you allowed patience to guide you rather than letting anger take control. Many people underestimate the power of this internal shift. They are so focused on visible outcomes that they overlook the transformation happening within them. But internal growth is often the foundation that determines how someone handles the opportunities that eventually arrive. Think about it carefully. What happens when success comes to someone who has never experienced struggle? Often they are unprepared for pressure. They may not recognize the value of what they have. They may react impulsively when new challenges appear. But someone who has already walked through difficult seasons carries a different mindset. They understand patience. They appreciate progress. They recognize how fragile opportunities can be, and because of that awareness, they treat them with greater responsibility. This is why your response during hardship matters so much. If bitterness becomes your main reaction, it slowly shapes your perspective. It narrows your vision and drains your energy. Over time, it can make you miss possibilities that are right in front of you. But if gratitude remains present, even in small ways, it keeps your mind open. It reminds you that life is not defined by a single chapter. It encourages you to keep observing, keep learning, and keep moving forward with balance. Consider how powerful that mindset truly is. While others become discouraged by delays, you become more patient. While others lose direction during uncertainty, you become more reflective. While others give up too quickly, you continue refining your approach. That persistence quietly changes the direction of your life. Not through dramatic moments that everyone can see, but through consistent inner alignment that gradually shapes your decisions. And those decisions accumulate. They influence the people you trust, the opportunities you recognize, and the paths you choose to pursue. Over time, they begin to open doors that would have remained invisible to the person you once were. So ask yourself something important. What if the season you thought was holding you back was actually creating the clarity you needed? What if the patience you practiced during painful moments was strengthening your ability to recognize the right timing for things that truly matter? Growth rarely announces itself loudly. Most of the time it develops quietly, beneath the surface of everyday life. But when the moment arrives for change, The preparation that happened in silence suddenly reveals its value. And when that moment comes, it often feels less like luck and more like alignment. Alignment between who you have become and what you are now ready to handle. That is when the doors that once felt distant begin to move closer. Not because the world suddenly changed overnight, but because you did. There comes a point in every long season of waiting when something inside you becomes clear. Not everything outside has changed yet, but internally you begin to feel different. The frustration that once filled your mind starts to fade. The urgency that once pressured every decision slowly turns into patience. You begin to understand something that many people never realize. Not every delay is meant to stop you. Sometimes a delay simply creates the time needed for growth, clarity, and preparation. When people look back on the most meaningful, turning points in their lives, they often discover that those moments were connected to earlier periods of difficulty. At the time, those struggles felt confusing and unfair. Nothing seemed to make sense. But with distance and reflection, the pattern becomes easier to see. The hard seasons forced them to slow down. They questioned their direction. They re-examined their priorities. They learned lessons about resilience, discipline, and perspective that comfort never would have taught them. Without realizing it, they were being prepared to recognize opportunities that they once would have ignored, prepared to handle responsibility with maturity instead of impulse, prepared to appreciate progress instead of taking it for granted. And perhaps the most powerful part of this process is the gratitude that remained alive during the difficult moments. Gratitude during pain does not mean pretending that everything is perfect. It simply means refusing to let hardship erase your awareness of what still has value. It means choosing balance when negativity tries to dominate your thoughts. That choice shapes the way you see the world. When your mind is guided by appreciation instead of resentment, you begin to notice possibilities that others overlook. You recognize small improvements. You pay attention to subtle opportunities. You remain open to growth even when circumstances are uncertain. Over time, that awareness becomes a powerful advantage. While others become discouraged by temporary setbacks, you stay steady. While others rush into decisions driven by emotion, you move forward with patience and clarity. And because of that balance, the opportunities that arrive are met with readiness rather than confusion. Think about how different life feels when your perspective shifts in that way. Challenges no longer feel like permanent barriers. They begin to look more like moments that test your focus and refine your direction. Even disappointment becomes a source of information, guiding you toward wiser choices. And this is where many breakthroughs quietly begin. Not with a dramatic event that suddenly changes everything overnight, but with a deeper sense of alignment between your mindset and the path you are walking. When a person develops resilience, gratitude, and patience during hardship, they become capable of navigating success without losing their balance. They carry the lessons of the difficult seasons with them, allowing those lessons to guide their future decisions. That is why the journey you have walked matters. Every moment you resisted negativity strengthened your awareness. Every time you chose patience over frustration built emotional endurance. Every quiet expression of gratitude helped you maintain a mindset that refuses to be defined by temporary circumstances. Those choices may have seemed small at the time, but they shaped who you are today. And the person you have become is far more prepared for the future than the person you were before the struggle began. So when you reflect on your journey, remember this. The seasons that tested you were not meaningless. The patience you practiced was not wasted. The gratitude you held on to during painful moments was not invisible. Those experiences built the foundation of your strength, and when the next chapter of your life begins to unfold, you may realize that the breakthrough you were waiting for was never just about external change. It was also about the transformation that happened within you along the way.